The Louisiana versus all y'all, Jarrett Roser here today with good friend of mine, Mr. James Washington, who folks have probably seen more and more of recently, working with a lot of the top quarterbacks around Louisiana. If you've seen that quarterback Mechanix tagline and a lot of photos of guys really from all over the place getting a chance to get some work in, even despite some of the limitations this spring. You've probably seen James right there looking over the shoulder. So appreciate you taking a couple minutes to chat. I know we were hoping to maybe link up in person today, but the weather did not allow for you to get out to some of those training sessions. How you been doing,
Yes,
man?
It's fine. Just kind of, getting through it, trying to, get around this whole virus thing, just trying to, grind as best as we can with everything going on.
Yeah, I want to get into what some of that has looked like on what you've been able to do, because everyone has had to kind of be cautious and adjust to exactly what opportunities are there. But even before we get into kind of the now, just your background, I mean, come from Texas, go to LSU, and then get into a lot of sports training in different capacities leading up to where you are now with QB Mechanix. Just kind of what's your story of how you got from where you were to where you are now?
Honestly, originally from New Orleans, a military brat. So I grew up in a place called Killeen, Texas, where from elementary to high school, I went out there, and then came back to LSU for college. Graduated 2011 with a degree in kinesiology, and just kind of used my degree. At first, I wasn't using it. I was working for a bank, and then I kind of wanted to figure out what I wanted to do. So I did personal training for a little bit. And then when I moved back to Louisiana in 2014, I really just kind of, try to get into the training world as far as sports goes. So I think in 2016, I just, I had a kid from Warren Easton High. And I was just kind of doing it as a hobby, just kind of stay involved with the game somehow. I wasn't really coaching at the high school level. Just trying to, stay in football, kind of doing something I still like to do. And then the same thing in 18, I'm sorry. And I had a kid from Landry Walker who had a pretty good season. And then 2019, I got a call from Mandeville starting quarterback, DeVon Tott. And from there, we just kind of got to work. He had an explosive junior season, and it kind of just blew up from there. 2019, I had 3 quarterbacks total. And now we got a bunch. And I was kind of, trying to help anybody out who wants to get at the position. That's pretty much what I'm striving for.
Yeah, I guess tell me a little bit more about how some of those initial relationships and initial training sessions really got started, and how good it was for you to get back into more of what you'd gone to school for, and I mean, be around sports, something you're obviously very passionately about, helping some of these young guys kind of perfect their crafts. What were some of those initial conversations, and how fulfilling has it been to see that growth these past few years?
Definitely. It's been really fun. Honestly, the first 2, one of the kids I work with is uncle, and he just told me about him, and he's like, "You mind working with him sometime?" And I said, "Sure." So, for that first year in 2017, we just kind of just trained, and just me and him. 18, pretty much same situation. I knew a kid, knew somebody in his family, and we kind of linked up from there. And then 2019, I was just posting on social media about, quarterback training. And that's when DeVon Tott's stepdad hit me up. And I was going to the North Shore twice a week, and still working a 9 to 5 out in Baton Rouge, but I was just kind of making it happen. And then we got together May 2019. Like I said, he had a great junior season. And then from there, kind of just word of mouth spread around via social media, and we're here today.
I don't know that people realize kind of the challenges of just getting the ball rolling on some of those things. You had the great connections with folks in the families for those 2 guys a few years ago. But in terms of kind of getting your name out there and getting some more connections beyond that, how did that process work out for you overall? Because even you can have all the knowledge in the world, but until you can kind of have the people recognize it and get those connections going, it can be kind of challenging and like an uphill battle. So what was that like for you to just kind of get more of that conversation going and be able to show what you've been able to do?
It was really tough beginning. I just started a Twitter page, and I think I had my 10, 12 followers. And I was just kind of, just posting. And with the kids I did have last year, I would just post their stats. I post any kind of offers they got. news articles, whatever, just to kind of show they were working and kind of get them some exposure. And I mean, it's just day by day grinding, and I went from 10 followers to almost 2,200 now. So I think just keeping up, just whatever you do, just keep pounding and pounding and pounding, and then you'll get there eventually if you just keep working and don't give up.
You work with, I mean, some private sessions with just kind of some one-on-one stuff, some small groups, some bigger groups, some quarterback classes, and just kind of a variety of different opportunities for guys. Kind of take me through some of the different things that you do with the young quarterback, some of the different focuses, how you kind of approach things as you get started with a new quarterback, and just kind of what the overall approach looks like with some of these guys as y'all get a chance to link up.
Yeah. So really the process is very simple. With any new quarterback, I like to do a few private sessions first, where it's just me and him and maybe a receiver, and that way we can kind of see his strengths, his weaknesses, and how to combat those and beat those. So literally the first couple sessions are just us. We're just kind of working on his throwing motion, his footwork and stuff like that. And then after that, they're able to move up to the group session, where it's more, small quarterback groups, 4 to 5 kids, and they're kind of in that, kind of semi-competitive environment. But as far as the sessions goes, we like I said, it's either private one-on-one, or it's a semi-private, which is like a small group session. And like I said, each session both group and private focus on, combating weaknesses and getting better day by day. But the private sessions are where we really, me and him, just kind of one-on-one talking and kind of, what are your goals for the year? What do you want to get better at? What do you think you're good at? What do you think you could be better at? We kind of, it's almost like a one-on-one tutoring session. It's just really focused on that one athlete. And then we just kind of, fix every kind of issue that they may have that they need to, make themselves just a better quarterback overall.
What have been some of the, one or two of the more common things that you see with young guys that they grow up, and at the quarterback position especially, they'll start to garner a lot of attention really early on for some of the potential that's there, but still have a lot to really perfect and tweak in terms of just little technical things. What are some of the things that you kind of see that are pretty big common starting points for you guys?
I think footwork and balance for me. Just a lot of kids, just especially the ones that come to you young, like freshmen, sophomores, and some haven't been taught certain things. So they just kind of get out there and they're just throwing the ball. And once you kind of get with them for a little bit, you kind of see what they can do. But a lot of it is just strength. I tell my kids, fall in love with the weight room, because the stronger you are, the better you have a chance of being better balanced and stuff like that. And just footwork. Some kids are feet too close together, too far apart, so you're trying to give them a strong base. So my whole thing is I use a house as a reference, the foundation of a house. So the foundation of a quarterback are your feet. So if you have bad feet, usually everything else from the top isn't going to be as great. So you're really focused on the small things such as balance and footwork, and then we kind of work up from there with the arm motion and stuff like that. So I would say we start from the ground up with the quarterbacks, which means starting from the feet up to the mental part of it.
What's it been like to see some of these guys progress from where you first start working together and then see them continue to build? You mentioned a guy like DeVon Tott, who I think now heads into this year probably one of the better quarterbacks around the state that we're looking at. And folks maybe a couple of years ago didn't have him as much on their radar the way we have a few of these young guys now, like Holstein and Arch Manning and company. But we've really seen him just kind of establish himself these past couple of years, whether with him or some of these other guys. What has it been like to just see that progress year over year, session over session?
No, it's just great, man. And I post pictures all the time. I'll show a picture from a guy in his first session, and then maybe 3 months down the line, and they can just see a total different in their body posture and alignment and stuff like that. But it's fun. It's really rewarding. That's the best part to me. The scholarship offers that they post are really cool, but when I post a picture from their first session to maybe their 20th session, and they see that difference, they understand that, hey, I was telling you this stuff for a reason. I'm not just saying it to hear myself talk. But the guys are really good. I just had a private session on Sunday, and right before the session, the kid was sitting down. He goes to Pearl River High, and he's going to be a sophomore competing for a starting spot. And he looked at me, said, "I just want to say thank you." I said, "Huh?" And he said, "I'm just so much better at football than I was last year." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, we've been practicing, and I threw the ball a little bit, and He told me, he said, I was just driving down the field and boom, boom, boom. I said, that's what I said. I'm not surprised because, you've been putting in that work for 5 to 6 months now. So that's a very rewarding part of the job, seeing those guys progress and just kind of a little bit more confidence, a little more belief in themselves. So that's really a great part of the job that I do.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you had any kind of funny stories that guys wouldn't mind you sharing of them looking back on where they were and kind of sharing some of that perspective of when they showed up to you, they thought they were pretty on top of everything, and then quickly realized, and then kind of after the fact realized, thanks, basically.
Yeah. I think I won't say his name, but I was working with a kid last year, and great quarterback. Got some good skills. This and that, but he almost seemed like he just knew it all before he even got to the first session. And then we got to it, and I'm putting him through all these workouts. And he's like, "Man," I said, "How you know all this stuff?" I said, "Man, just a lot of attention to detail into the craft, and just seeing him now where he is now is just a totally night and day quarterback." But you get a couple that they come in and, like I said, they've been praised their whole life, since park ball. You're this and you're that, but they get into the first session and I ask them to do some things that they can't really do that they thought they may have been able to do, and they're not so strong at it, and we just work at it for months and months, and then when they are able to, I had a kid not too long ago. He couldn't throw a curl route, a simple curl. And we trained the other day, and he was hitting the curl perfect timing and everything. And I said, "Remember 3 months ago when you couldn't even hit a curl route?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, I wasn't as good as I thought I was." So, like I said, just the progression, just the confidence, it's just rewarding, man, honestly.
You had a chance, I guess, more recently to link up with TJ Finley, and he and I were talking a couple weeks ago, and it's funny because when he and I first started talking 2 years ago, whatever, you had reached out and asked if I knew who he was working with, and at that point it was a lot of him working with his dad, and so he kind of dropped your name in one of these calls a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "You remember when I was checking who like you were working with a couple of years ago? Like that's who I was trying to connect you with."
Yeah.
But what was it like? He's going to be now any guy that signs with LSU in Louisiana is going to be among the highest profile guys you get a chance to work with. What was it like working with TJ a little bit and
Yes.
And kind of, just working on a little bit of stuff with him heading into college?
It was fun, honestly. It's just we trained on the North Shore. The virus had just hit, and I hadn't talked to him in a while. But I knew LSU had just released students back home. So, I hit his dad up, Mr. Finley. I said, "Hey, just to let you know, if TJ needs to get any work done, in preparation for the season, we're still keeping kids throwing over here at QB Mechanix." And he hit me up, and we set it up. We train, once or twice a week, and just kind of got it in from there. But that's a great kid, man. From our second workout, he knew LSU's playbook like front to back, We even brought Coy Moore out there a couple times to catch for us, So I'm just kind of working on that chemistry. And TJ's big thing was his footwork and balance. So that's a lot of what we focused on, moving in the pocket, because he is a big kid, So being that big, you have to be able to move. So my words to him was always big man, sweet feet, So I always say, think Jerome Bettis. I always try to have some kind of analogy for the training. Some say, "Hey, you're big, you got this strong cannon arm, but if you can't move in the pocket, it doesn't matter." And these days, you see a lot of these, 6'2" and under quarterbacks that are moving so much and making these plays. I say you have to be able to do the same thing at your height and your weight. So just know that, we have room for improvement in that, we can knock it out with just some hard work.
Coy, not in a while, and not so much necessarily quarterback at the varsity level. He's played a little bit of quarterback at different points in his youth football. Did you get a chance to see him work with him at all at quarterback? Should LSU fans be ready for some trickery with Coy in the next couple of years?
I've seen Coy throw, but not like serious. The stint of my seeing him throw was him throwing the ball back to his brother, who trains him. But that's a great athlete, and the LSU fans should be they'll be in for a treat in a year or two when Coy gets his shot up to bat. Definitely looking forward to him playing and him and TJ having a great connection sometime.
You mentioned kind of the difficulties of navigating some of the coronavirus and still being able to get some of the work in. What did that look like for you? How complicated was that to make sure that y'all were approaching that in the right ways these past couple of months?
So basically, once everything kind of happened, we kind of just followed the governor's guidelines. At first, we thought we were going to be completely shut down. And then they made the mandate where, well, you can be outside for exercise and this and that, but it has to be in groups of under 10 and social distance. So pretty much, we took our group sessions with 4 or 5 quarterbacks and maybe only 2 or 3 quarterbacks and 2 or 3 receivers, So we kind of just cut our groups down to accommodate the numbers. And as the state moved long phase to phase, we've kind of picked it back up as we go. But it was really tough at first, kind of figure out what's going on. Will these kids be able to work out? And fortunately for us, it was able to work out for them, and a lot of kids were able to still put in that work in preparation for their season this year.
With the opportunity that you've had to work with a lot of guys, I mean, not just in recent weeks, months, but the past year, a couple years, who are some of the other quarterbacks at the high school level that you think people should really kind of have an eye on heading into this fall? I mean, knock on wood, everything gets back to something close to normal. You mentioned Tott up there at Mandeville. I know you've been around Coy's now former high school quarterback, Kyle Wickersham, and some other notable you smile as soon as you hear Kyle's name.
Hey, that's my boy.
Who are some of the guys to watch hopefully this fall?
Kyle has been training 3 to 4 times a week since that virus started. Yeah, he didn't throw the ball a lot last year, but this year they're going to open it up a little bit, and I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised with Mr. Wickersham's progression. Also, Catholic High isn't missing a beat. They got Landon O'Connor out there, senior to be, and we really worked on just developing him as a passer. He was a big runner last year. He would come in Wildcat quarterback style. And I think people will be pleasantly surprised with his progression as a passer. Carr, I don't think Carr's going to miss a beat. They got a young sophomore to be, A.J. Samuel. That's going to be a name to watch. I think he's just as good as Arch Manning, Eli Holstein, Reese Mooney out there in Denham Springs. Those are some great kids. And the class of 23 is really talented. I got a kid out Lafayette area, Dillon Monette. Last year was their first year as a varsity team. They went through the little JV process a couple years before. And, I mean, last year he threw for 3,000 and over 30 touchdowns in his first year as a real varsity starter. So there's a lot of kids in the state that are going to be show some great things. You got J.D. Wooten over at Holy Cross. You got Jack Larriviere over at Jesuit. So I train a lot of kids in New Orleans Catholic League. So I'm looking forward to looking for the competition in that league. I also work with Brother Martin's quarterback, Garrett Mmahat, who is a junior to be, who's been starting since a freshman. He's put on about 40 pounds since his freshman year. So I think he's going to have a really good season this year. Trying to think who else. Who I got on here? I got a kid from Leesville High, way up there. He drives 2 hours every Thursday to come to Lafayette to get a training session in. Jacob Mount. I think he threw about 2,020 touchdowns last year. This year I challenged him to make it 2,530 touchdowns. So just having fun with those guys. That was a lot of the seniors to be, some sophomores and juniors. I got a lot of young guys, but they'll have their chance when it comes. But as far as my older guys, the ones I just mentioned are the ones that have been working all off season, and I'm excited to see what they do this year.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously a lot of work in New Orleans. We talked about some of the North Shore guys. You come up here to you were going to be in Baton Rouge today before the weather kind of screwed up any outdoor plans. Basically, you get out to Lafayette. You're working with guys all over, certainly the southern portion of Louisiana, and if anyone wants to come meet, there's a lot of opportunities there beyond just New Orleans area. Yes,
sir. New Orleans, Lafayette, the North Shore, pretty much Mandeville area, and Baton Rouge are the 4 areas I train in. And I'm actually starting virtual training for a kid out in Pineville, Louisiana. So this weekend we're going to do some training via FaceTime. So that should be pretty interesting and fun. That's my first time. If it goes well, I might start offering that too. So we'll see what happens.
That's awesome, man.
Been blessed, do something I love and, kind of impact the youth, not only as a football coach, but as a mentor as well.
And folks, I know on your Twitter bio, they have the link to sign up for some sessions. Any other kind of information you want to make sure that you share for anyone who happens to see this and wants to reach out just in terms of contacting you?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, Twitter, QB Mechanix. That's Mechanix. Instagram, Facebook, all same name. Honestly, if you're looking to get better as a quarterback, feel free to hit me up anytime, email, however you want to do it. I'm always willing to work with a kid who wants to get better, any athlete, honestly. And, just kind of looking forward to some good things in the future. And I also wanted to throw out that starting tomorrow, I'll be with ULL starting quarterback Levi Lewis, so that'll be fun. Looking forward to working with that guy. Looking forward to working with that guy. Looking forward to him having a breakout senior season, and hopefully, he makes some noise and hopefully get a shot at the pro level.
You're not going to have any difficulty making him work because that dude loves it.
Exactly. That's why I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Ready to get to work.
Awesome.
Chase that Sun Belt championship.
Yes, sir. It's been really cool to see what Levi's done out there, and talking to the new 2021 commits, Zy McDonald and Hunter Herring, about just kind of the impact that Levi had on their perception of the Cajuns and what they do and stuff like that. So another year of Levi and Lafayette is going to be really exciting to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. I'm really excited for him. Set some goals for him too, but we'll keep them on the husk for right now.
There you go. Again, he's James Washington, QB Mechanix. Any young quarterbacks, or as he mentioned, any athletes of really any age looking to get some work in and prepare for the next high school season or prepare for college or whatever the case may be, look him up. For Louisiana versus all y'all, Jarrett Roser.